Hello and welcome to Trip Triple Play Gaming etc. This is Alex Reviews The Banner Saga. Alright, welcome to my fellow gamers. This review is going to be broken into 5 categories: audio, visuals, gameplay, story, and replayability. I'll give them each a rating out of 10 and come to an overall score. So, The Banner Saga is a tactical RPG for more mature gamers in a vein similar to Game of Thrones. It was developed by Stoic and published by Versus Evil. Now, if you get a chance and look them up online, you'll find out that these companies have come from some pretty impressive stock and are doing some great things. So, you already get the feeling that you're going to be in some fairly safe hands when you're looking at this game. So, it's released on Steam, on Windows, OS X, Linux, it's also on iOS, Android, and even more recently PS4 and Xbox One. So if you are interested, go and check it out. Now the game, much like Game of Thrones, it tries not to focus on a lone protagonist. Instead it goes for like an entire cast of characters. And the story itself, it centers on the return of a warlike race, the Dredge. These great big stone monsters. And so while you're following these characters as they're dealing with the return of these Dredge, throughout the game, you'll make choices for them, and your characters could very well lose their lives, and you just sort of have to trudge on and deal with those losses. So, I mean, that's the intent of what the developers wanted, but we're going to have a look now and see how well the themes they wanted and how well the gameplay they wanted actually came off. Now, for the audio. Now, the music in this game is thematically, it's just spot on. Stoic have utilized an actual orchestra to create their soundtrack, and it's amazing. It all feels and sounds very authentic to the game, like you'd actually be hearing it being played by musicians in the game, and that really helps create an atmosphere you can be drawn into. However, no track in particular is all that memorable to me. Like, as a whole, I liked it, but I can't really recall anything that I can pick out from that lot, and I can't really imagine me listening to it outside of the game. So overall, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's above average quality. They've done really well, but it's not exactly breaking any boundaries, going mainstream, anything like that. Not like the music from Undertale, for example. Now for visuals, oh boy, if there was ever a reason to buy this game, it's to look at it. The Banner Saga is beautiful. It's like looking at an old Disney movie or like a Don Bluth film. And the art style does suit the game. At times, maybe it's a little too bright and colourful when, you think about how much more dark, mature and serious this game wants to try and keep itself. But that's a nitpick. There are animations, although they are very sparing, they're really short, and that's a real shame. I'm sure that's a product of it being an indie game, and I would have loved to have seen more, but just for the quality of that animation, I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. Beautiful and thematic, but it did just leave me wanting that little bit more. Now the gameplay in the Banner Saga, that's broken into 2 parts. You've got your combat, and then you got the town/caravan bit. Now the combat, I love it. I adore it. I'm a tabletop gamer, and the idea of having my models move about for me, fight on my order, have little animations and sound effects, and they're already painted, I mean, you've got me there. I like the rules of the combat. They're fairly simple at first, but there's quite a bit of depth to them, and you often need to think several turns ahead and sort of form your team together well and have some strong synergy to really get through without any major losses. And I like that there's no set team. You don't have to have blah 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 blah. You can try different combinations, like you can just keep going through and giving that a shot. Now the towns and caravan, ooh, I'm not as into that. After a while, it feels very much like a choose your own adventure book. And now that's complete with the wishing you could have like your fingers in 6 different parts of the pages because something awful happens to you at every turn. Yeah, supplies get stolen, morale goes down, and the worst of all is character death. Yeah, that's right, characters don't die in combat unless it's like scripted. Instead, they die arbitrarily when you can't figure out the right decision. One death springs to mind fairly early on in the game where you're a father, you've got your daughter, you're both hunters, and in text, like you don't see it, it's in text, and that's fine. She's about to be attacked by this dredge warrior, and you think, I'll choose one of these options. And what happens when you choose it wrong? A third character, not even described to you in that scene, runs out, gets his head crushed in. Fantastic. In fact, that one particular character has so many chances to die throughout those text-based things that there's actually an achievement to keep him alive. That doesn't feel like an earned loss. I didn't even know that character was there. There was no emotion to it. It was like, and maybe they're going for that shock value of the kill, but, I didn't see it. So a lot of that shock disappeared. And I mean, realistically, you can just reload from a previous save game. Like, if you've invested a lot of time and effort into that character, getting them better and better, you don't want to just lose them for some silly thing. So you go back and you just play through it again. So, for the combat, I'd easily give it a 9 or a 10 out of 10. I really enjoy it that much. And I think the developers knew that it was a great system, because they even released a free game called the Banner Saga Factions, just for players to build up teams and duke it out PvP style. Town's a Caravan, however, I'd give that at best a 4 or 5. Like, it's average, maybe a little bit below. It really is unimpressive for me. Some of the moments aren't that bad. It's just the ones that I talked about. I mean, they really niggled at me. So when you get those two scores together, overall for gameplay, we've got a 7 out of 10. Now for the story of the game. Oh, there is this massive bounty of characters and places, and it really gets overwhelming. So after the second, maybe third playthrough, I did start to understand what was going on, but that's not exactly ideal. It's great if you can pick up on little bits you hadn't seen before, but it was sort of the whole plot that I was missing. So, at first, when you're first going through, there are so many characters and places, I just kept getting confused with each other, everything with each other. It's like, let's go to Arborang. I'm like, is that a person? Let's talk to Ubin. I thought Ubin was a rock. Like, it was frustrating, and because of that, I didn't really care that much about anything because I didn't know what anything was. I mean, except for Ubin, I actually quite like the Scrivener. And of course, anyone that proved themselves useful to me in combat. I mean, yeah, I paid attention to those. I'm like, oh, yes. That guy there that can pummel things into the dirt, Gunnulf, I like him. More of him. I'll learn about his story. Now, it just felt like there was so much going on that there should have been a game before this one just to get me up to date on the Banner Saga. So I suppose the story isn't all that bad once you figure it out. It's the fact you need multiple playthroughs to get to it that is the major issue for me. So while it's a good story, it's a below average way of introducing me to it. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. A completely average score. Now, our final section, replayability. Now you're going to think after all of my gripes in those last two parts, I'll say I don't want to play it anymore. But surprisingly, even with the flaws that I've mentioned, I can still see myself coming back to this game more than once. It's fairly short. It clocks in at around maybe 6 to 7 hours to finish. I mean, longer on your first couple of run-throughs, especially if you're trying out different things. But this game is beautiful to look at. It's nice to listen to, and over the course of this review, I've already played through it like twice completely, and with achievements, there is always an incentive for me to come back at a later time, try again in a different way. It's even the sort of game that I'm pretty sure I'm going to come back and revisit just every so often, just for funsies. So for that, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Alright, let's tally it up. So audio, 8 out of 10. Visuals, 9 out of 10. Gameplay, 7 out of 10. Story, 5 out of 10. And replayability, 7 out of 10. Overall, that rounds out to a healthy 7 out of 10. Above average. So, do I think the game is worth buying? Yeah, absolutely. Now, if tactical RPGs are your thing, and you want to see some amazing artwork coupled with orchestral thematic music, this game is right up your alley, and I definitely suggest checking it out. If that's not what you're into, I don't think it transcends its genre, so I can understand if you want to give it a miss. Now, I'm really hoping that you all listening to this enjoyed and found this review helpful. And I look forward to reviewing the Banner Saga 2, because it was only released just recently. I have already played through it. I'm just going to go through it a second time so I can start recording some footage. The first time was just for funsies. So if you did enjoy this, please of course like, comment, or subscribe to the channel so you can see more of it. Let me know if there are other games that you think I could review. Let me know in the comments. Or if there are other games you think that would suit better for a Let's Play, then absolutely let me know, because I'm always looking for new things to do, and your help is always appreciated. So until next time, I'll see you later, fellow gamers. Oh, almost fell. It's alright, everyone, calm down. Thank you, fellow gamers, for worrying about me, that I just survived. Just pulled through. Oh, that was so amazing. Oh, I deserved that so